My name is Clara Jensen. I am 58 years old, a retired librarian living alone on the rugged coast of Oceanside, Oregon. It had been a quiet 10 months since I buried my only son, Ethan. Grief had settled over the old house like the perpetual coastal fog. This house, perched above a chilly, secluded inlet, was now too heavy with silence. I was trying to read on my sun porch that Tuesday afternoon when the sound of an engine ripped through the calm. Seraphina, Ethan's widow, was driving her silver SUV like a maniac, screeching to a stop at the end of the dilapidated old jetty. Something was terribly, violently wrong. She vaulted out, her face a mask of panic and dark purpose. I saw her yank a bulky, brown canvas duffel bag from the cargo area. It was heavy. Her body strained against the weight. She didn't look around, only at the cold, dark water. She swung the bag, once, twice, and with a desperate heave, hurled it off the edge of the jetty and into the tidal inlet below. The heavy splash shattered the afternoon. The bag bobbed for a terrifying second, then began its slow, dreadful descent into the gray water. Seraphina scrambled back to her SUV, tires spitting gravel as she vanished down the coast road. My mind went numb, but my legs moved. I ran, faster than I had in years, down the steep path to the shore. I plunged into the cold, knee-deep water. I battled the pull of the shifting sand and, with a trembling surge of strength, wrestled the soaked, impossibly heavy duffel bag back onto the beach. That's when I heard it. A faint, muffled, heartbreaking whimper coming from inside the bag. Part 2, please God, no, I whispered, my voice raw. My fingers, numb and clumsy, fumbled with the wet nylon cord securing the bag. It gave way. I tore the zipper open. My heart stopped. Inside, swaddled in a stained, pale blue hospital blanket, was a newborn baby. He was impossibly small, silent, his skin pale and wooed, his lips faintly blue. He wasn't moving. For a terrible instant, I thought I was too late. I lifted him out, clutching the icy, fragile weight to my chest. I pressed my cheek against his tiny nose. There it was, the faintest, shallowest puff of air, barely breathing but alive. I ran toward the house screaming, the urgent need to save this life burning away the fear. I grabbed the old landline. My fingers slipped. I dialed 911, stammering my address in Oceanside. The operator calmly guided me to dry and warm the baby. I ripped towels from the linen closet, rubbing his waxen body with frantic tenderness, wrapping him tight. The entire time, I rocked him, whispering one word over and over, hold on. The sirens tore through the sea air minutes later. A young paramedic gently took him, her face tight with concern. Severe hypothermia, she muttered to her partner. We need to move now. In the blur of the ambulance ride, she asked, how did you find him? In a bag, in the water. I saw someone throw it in, I said, my voice barely audible. Did you see who it was? I looked at the tiny, fighting life on the gurney, Seraphina, Ethan's wife, my son's widow, the woman who had sworn undying love at his funeral 10 months ago. Yes, I finally whispered, the word tasting like ash. I saw who it was. Part 3. At the Pacific Coast Medical Center, the baby was rushed into the NICU. I was led to a sterile waiting room. The nurse, a kind woman named Diane, sat with me as I recounted the whole terrible tale. The police will want to speak with you, Diane said softly. This is attempted homicide. 2 officers arrived quickly. The senior one, Detective Sergeant Rhodes, had eyes that seemed to absorb every micro-expression. They pressed me for details. I described Seraphina's SUV, the time, her movements. And you are absolutely certain it was your daughter-in-law? Rhodes asked, her voice neutral. Completely, I affirmed. We can't locate her, Rhodes said, exchanging a look with her partner. Her home is empty, her phone is off, and there's a problem. A security camera at a highway rest stop, an hour south of here, took a photo of her vehicle 10 minutes after you claimed to have seen her at the jetty. That's impossible. I saw her. Ms. Jensen, Rhodes leaned forward. What is your relationship with Seraphina? Did you get along? There it was. The real question. I admitted we never had. Rhodes asked about Ethan's death, a car accident a year prior. I told them what everyone knew. But the doubt that had lived in my gut since that day resurfaced. It had always felt too convenient. Rhodes stood up. We need to find her, and fast. You can't contact her. We'll need a formal statement tomorrow. She left me with a sinking, terrible realization. The police thought I was lying. Driven by grief and resentment to frame my daughter and law. 40-8 agonizing hours later, a young doctor came to the waiting room. The baby is stable. The next 24 hours are still critical, but he's fighting. A true miracle. Later that day, Rhodes returned with a man in a dark suit, a forensic genetics specialist. She was holding a file. Ms. Jensen, we have the DNA results, Rhodes stated. The baby is a boy. Born approximately 4 days ago. She paused, then delivered the blow that shattered my reality. He is your biological grandson. Ethan's son, the world spun. Ethan had been dead for 10 months. Seraphina never mentioned a pregnancy. The tests are conclusive. The specialist confirmed. He shares 25% of his DNA with you. He was conceived about a month before Ethan's death. Seraphina knew she was pregnant when my son died. Why the secrecy? Why the attempt to murder her own child? There's more, Clara, Rhodes said, her voice grim. We reopened Ethan's accident. There were major inconsistencies. We found evidence of manipulation in the brakes. Someone sabotaged them. Ethan hadn't died in an accident. He had been murdered. I whispered the name. Seraphina, she is our primary suspect for both, Rhodes confirmed. But there's one more piece to the puzzle. Rhodes explained that just 2 weeks before his death, Ethan had changed his will. He hadn't left everything to Seraphina. He left his considerable estate and life insurance to his future children. She killed him for the insurance money. I choked out, and then she discovered the remaining estate would go to the baby if he was born alive, Rhodes finished. So she decided to eliminate him too. She was planning to keep everything. The sheer, calculated greed and malice of it left me gasping. Then, a social worker, Ms. Diaz, entered. She was young, earnest, and direct. Ms. Jensen, since the baby is your biological grandson, you have legal rights. You can apply for custody, but the system had protocols. Given my age 58 and my direct involvement in an active homicide investigation, Ms. Diaz was skeptical. The baby will need a temporary certified foster home when he leaves the NICU, Ms. Diaz said. You are involved in a criminal inquiry. Your recent emotional state is a factor. No, I roared. You won't take him from me. He's all that's left of my son. I saved his life. I will fight this system. I will do whatever is necessary. But no one is taking Leo. I stopped, giving the baby the name my son had always loved, Leo, away from me. Driven by a fierce, maternal instinct I thought I'd lost, I began the bureaucratic nightmare. Ms. Diaz handed me a list of requirements: criminal background checks, psychological evaluations, a medical exam, personal references, a home inspection, and a mandatory 40-hour childcare course. I spent the next 6 weeks in a blur of appointments, classes, and inspections. I converted Ethan's old room, taking down his college banners and replacing them with soft yellow paint and a new crib. The humiliation of the home inspection, my life judged worthy or unworthy on the basis of outlet covers and fire escape plans, was only bearable because of Leo. Meanwhile, Leo thrived. Doctors called his progress a miracle. I called it Ethan's fighting spirit. He recovered from hypothermia and aspiration with astonishing speed. I sat by his side daily, Diane teaching me how to feed him, change him, and swaddle him. Rhodes had a brief update. Seraphina is smart. She used offshore accounts and probably fake IDs. She's vanished, but we're still working the case. I knew the fight for custody would be a marathon, but my commitment was absolute. I was old, yes, but now I had a purpose bigger than my grief. Part 7. 3 weeks after starting the custody process, I found a worn, encrypted hard drive tucked away in Ethan's old desk. After a technician managed to unlock it, I found what I knew must be there: a digital journal. The later entries chilled me to the bone. Ethan, 1 month before his death, I found the pregnancy test. Seraphina was furious. She said she doesn't want the baby, that it will ruin her life. I don't trust her with the money. I changed my will today. Everything goes to the baby. I have to protect my son at all costs. The day before his death, Seraphina threatened me today. She said I'd regret pushing her on this. I'm scared. I'm going to tell Mom everything tomorrow. He never got the chance. He died that night. I took the hard drive to Rhodes. This is it, Clara, she said, her jaw tight. Premeditation, motive. This will bury her. She also confirmed that Ethan's old friend, a local mechanic, had been arrested. Seraphina had paid him a small sum to tamper with the brakes, making it look like a skid in the rain. Seraphina had planned everything: the murder, the false grief, the isolated delivery, and the final attempt on Leo's life. 6 weeks after the rescue, my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but some instinct told me to. Ellie, it's Seraphina. My blood ran cold. I quickly put the phone on speaker and grabbed my cell to record. I want my son, she spat out, and I want the money. The $500,000. Give me everything, or I'll come back for him. I kept her talking, appealing to her ego, letting her boast. You don't know anything, Clara, she sneered. I planned everything perfectly. You killed Ethan for money. He was an obstacle, she confessed with chilling calmness. My son was going to inherit, so the solution was simple: kill Ethan, have the baby kill him too. Keep everything. She demanded I bring Leo and the money to the old fisherman's boathouse by the inlet at midnight the next day. Alone, I immediately sent the audio to Rhodes. It's perfect, the detective said. We're setting a trap. You go to the meeting, you'll be wearing a wire. But Leo stays safe with Diane. We're getting her this time. The next night, at 11:55 p.m., I stood alone at the entrance of the derelict boathouse. Leo was safe miles away. I wore the small, discreet microphone taped beneath my collarbone, the small panic button resting against my sternum. I pushed open the door. The air inside was cold, rank with salt and decay. Moonlight filtered through broken window panes. You came. Seraphina's voice was a whisper from the shadows. She was thin, her hair crudely dyed. I want to know why, I said, my voice shaking but steady. She emerged into a shaft of moonlight. And again, she confessed everything, boasting about the premeditation, the ease with which she had orchestrated both murders. She finished with a triumphant sneer. But you ruined my perfect plan, Clara, so now I'm going to finish the job. She pulled a small, black semi-automatic pistol from her pocket, pointing it straight at my chest. Last chance. Where's my son? I pressed the panic button 3 rapid times. You're never going to touch him. I saw the flash, heard the deafening shot, and felt a burning hot impact in my left shoulder. I fell back as the boathouse erupted. Doors burst inward. Blinding floodlights snapped on. Voices screamed, police. Drop the weapon. Get on the ground. Rhodes and her team had her surrounded. Seraphina lowered the gun. Officers swarmed her, pinning her face down and clicking the handcuffs shut. It was over. I woke up in the hospital. The bullet had only grazed the muscle in my arm, a near miss. Diane was there, holding Leo, who was fat and cooing. Rhodes arrived an hour later. Seraphina is charged with first-degree murder for Ethan, attempted homicide for Leo, and attempted homicide for you, she said, her tired smile full of relief. The recording was flawless. She'll spend the rest of her life in prison. Justice for Ethan was finally done. 2 months later, I had my final court hearing with the judge. She reviewed the reports, my clean record, Leo's thriving health, the social worker's positive recommendation. Ms. Jensen, the judge said, smiling. This child is happy, healthy, and loved. You have proven yourself more than capable. I am granting you full and permanent custody of Leo. Furthermore, I authorize adoption proceedings, should you wish to pursue them. Yes, I said, tears streaming down my face. Yes, I want to adopt him. The gavel struck, making it official. 5 years later, the ending 5 years passed. Leo is now a vibrant, laughing 5-year-old boy. He calls me Nana, and his favorite pastime is chasing the waves on the oceanside beach. Every day with him is a miracle I never expected. I told him constantly about his father, Ethan, a good, brave man who loved him and gave his life to protect him. I never told him about the darkness of his mother. I didn't choose this life, but I was chosen for it. The woman who ran to the jetty that day, driven by gut instinct, was a woman broken by grief. The woman who runs around the yard today, kissing scraped knees and reading bedtime stories, is stronger than I ever imagined. Love conquered evil. I found new purpose in the deepest darkness, fulfilling my final promise to my son. I may not see Leo grow into a man, but I gave him the roots, the love, and the safety to have a beautiful, fearless future, and that is more than enough.